Good evening. The views and opinions of guests on this program, Adventures into the Strange, are not necessarily the views and opinions of the host, staff, crew, or parent company, Go Shield Entertainment Group, LLC. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoy the program. And folks, we're back. We have Richard G. Medlock tonight. You need to pay close attention because I can state emphatically, due to weather constraints, I will not be back on tomorrow night, and Richard and I will not be back on Thursday night. But what I will try to do, if he's amenable to it, is make it up next week when we don't have inclement weather and have him on 3 nights, and rather than the normal 2. Now, without further ado, this is Richard G. Medlock, the smartest guy I know. Take it away, Richard.
Thank you, Tucklow. And yeah, I think, we're heading into that time of the year when these cold fronts and warm fronts are running into each other. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been a real stress to come do this show today. I have been in bed since Sunday. I have been a total emotional wreck, ladies and gentlemen. When I heard the speech by the first non-white, non-Hispanic, non-Asian First Lady about the stressful life that she's had, it just floored me, and I have been just emotionally distraught over her life. The poor woman being sent to private schools, being forced to go to museums where she felt like she was being stared at and made fun of, being forced to go to Princeton University on affirmative action, of course, being forced to become an attorney, being forced to marry Barack Obama and forced to have 2 children. And the stress of becoming the first non-white, non-Hispanic, non-Asian First Lady, it was so stressful for her. And I just can't imagine, ladies and gentlemen, going on all those vacations and then coming home and having to do all that laundry that had built up on those vacations. Ladies and gentlemen, it has just ripped my heart out to understand the stress that woman lives under.
I'm heartless. I think that's hilarious, but go ahead, Richard. You're being somber. We want to hear more.
I'm sorry. They live a life of royalty. They've had a silver spoon put in their mouth way back when to end up being where they are today. And I think the one columnist put it the best. Her Reverend Wright moment came out at this university. All these, her and Obama, and I'm not going to say her husband because that's unclear, but her and Obama, all they're doing is race baiting, and they're stirring up the pot more than uh, anybody at this moment. Now, what's interesting, uh, she gave this speech at Tuskegee under University, and it was founded by Booker T. Washington. Well, apparently, she didn't do her homework because Booker T. Washington, and I'm going to read some of his quotes. That's just going to floor some of you. And it goes right in line with what Martin Luther King was talking about. Booker T. Washington was born in 1856 to a slave. He was a slave. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Booker T. Washington was a slave. He went through the Civil War, and then afterwards it was no easy cakewalk. Just because they were emancipated didn't mean, boy, everything's going to be hunky-dory now. No. But he worked. He would find jobs. He would do whatever it took. And he says, I'm not going to sit here and just wait on someone to take care of me. I'll go out and do it myself. So Booker T. Washington tried to educate himself. There were some places he wanted to learn to read, and they said, no, you can't learn to read. And then he found a lady that would teach him. He was actually working in her home, and she taught him how to read. In 1872, Booker T. Washington left home. He walked 500 miles to Hampton Normal Agricultural Institute in Virginia. And General Samuel C. Armstrong was a headmaster. And he took a job as a janitor so he could go to school. Later on, General Armstrong gave him a scholarship so he could go on. And this was Armstrong became Washington's mentor, strengthening his values of, get this, hard work and strong moral character. Now, do we see that coming out of the Obamas? Are they promoting hard work? Are they promoting strong moral character? Just the opposite. Just the opposite. And I would suggest go study the life of Booker T. Washington. He's a fascinating study. I've read a couple of books on him. And he's a fascinating person. But he also said some things. There was another person, W.E.B. Du Bois at the time, that felt like he was kind of the Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton of that age, and around 1900, the turn of the century. And he was for agitation and political activism, i.e. community organizer. They didn't call it that back then. But this is what Booker T. Washington wrote in 1911, a year before his death. He said, "There is another class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public, having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles. They have grown into the settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs." This was written in 1911. This paragraph is 100% correct about people in today's world, and we call them race baiters. And you know who they are. And I'm not going to get into what Michelle said. I mean, it's you've already heard all that. Washington wrote something else. He said, "If these men could have gone into the South and taken up and become interested in some practical work, which would have brought them in touch with people and things, the whole world would have looked very different to them. Bad as conditions might have seemed at first, when they saw that actual progress was being made, they would have taken a more hopeful view of the situation. And what he's saying there, ladies and gentlemen, is what Martin Luther King said. Hey, we got a situation, but you know what? Let's work with them. Let's work with the whites and make things go. Let's not get mad at them. Let's not throw bricks at them. Let's not go out there and kill the police. Let's work together. And that's what Booker T. Washington was promoting. And this is what Martin Luther King was promoting. And he still does, his family. And there are many on the black community that follow this same line. They're trying to go out to the communities and promote, go to work, take care of your children, take care of your families, get some good moral values, and move forward. And then you have the others, like the rioters and looters, that have swallowed the Kool-Aid to go into the agitation side. So this is what we're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen. It's for her to come out and say things like that just shows who she is, who Obama is, and what they really stand for. And they haven't changed one bit since they went into the White House. This is who they were going in. If anything, they have just become more emboldened in what they're trying to do. So, and if you listen to her talk, there was some applause, not cheering, yay, go, okay, good talk, keep going, so it's amazing what these people, the lengths they'll go to keep their agenda alive. And it's a sad thing for America. It's a sad thing for blacks, and it's a bad thing for whites. In the long run, nothing good comes out of what Michelle and Obama and the others are promoting. It just divides everybody even further. And that's what we don't need in this country. All right. What's going on, folks? That this weekend, and some of you might have seen what went on in South Carolina, my hometown. We had the South Carolina Freedom Convention, Freedom Summit. And a lot of people were here. A lot of the Republicans were here. And matter of fact, a friend of mine could not wait to send me a picture of he and Donald Trump shaking hands. My friend is a regional hotel manager that's a company based here, and they have hotels all over the place. And at his hotel downtown, he said there was Trump, Rubio, and Cruz staying at his hotel and doing private parties at his hotel. But he got to meet him, got his picture taken. He was tickled pink. But a lot of people, when you listen to the talks and the sound bites, listen to the applause there. Now, I have to give those that spoke, and I mean, you had John Bolton and Jindal and Trump and Rubio and Cruz and others there. They hammered Obama. They hammered his foreign policy. They hammered his economic policy. They hammered Hillary Clinton. They didn't hold anything back, ladies and gentlemen. And the one thing that stood out among all of them was they informed radical jihadists. Who was it? Was it Scott Walker, or which one used it? Maybe it was Rubio. They used the line from Ian Nilsson's movie Taken. We will hunt you, we will find you, and we will kill you. And that was a standing ovation at the Peace Center. It was amazing. But to listen to what they said, they had it on C-SPAN. And all the major news outlets were here. Matter of fact, they were parked. My friend's hotel is right across the street from the Peace Center. And he says, all the news agencies are right out front of our hotel. But anyway, he said, or the people that I talked to that went, they said there was so much electricity there, it was unbelievable. Now, that's a good thing. If they keep up this rhetoric, if they keep up this attack, if they keep up this strategy in 2016, we will have the White House back and we'll have more seats in Congress. But if they back off what they did Saturday, they'll lose. That's why whoever is chosen on the GOP side or whoever comes forward, then this is their strategy. You go after every failure of this administration. And Hillary was part of this administration for 4 years as Secretary of State. Most of the policies, most of the things that took place and is taking place now started under her tutorship. Tutelage. There you go. Under her tutelage. I like tutorship. But anyway, Hillary does have a tutor. It just doesn't sound very good right now. But to me, it was just uplifting to see and to hear what they're saying. Every one of them, they were in attack mode, just flat out attack mode. And that's what they need to do for the next 12, 15, 16 months. Attack. And let's see, Donald Trump, he talked about the economy. He says, I would be the best jobs president since Reagan. He said, I know where the money is. And if Donald Trump says he knows where the money is, he knows where the money is. He's a player. So there's a lot of keys that were sitting there, a lot of things to put in place, and everyone had their message. Scott Walker came out. He was talking strong against radical jihadists, radical Islam. They weren't afraid to use the word terrorist, and they weren't afraid to use the word radical Islam. They went after them. And this is what America wants to hear. Americans don't want to hear that we're wimps. Americans don't want to hear that we don't have a spine. Americans don't want to hear that we're not doing anything about all these Christians being slaughtered in the Middle East. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear that America's doing something about it and is really doing something about it. So it was a very uplifting meeting. They've got another one scheduled, I think, another big one like this. I think it's August, and I can't remember where it is. And I think in some ways on Monday, it helped the markets. The market was up yesterday for a while, and then ended up down. But there was a lot, there was nothing but positive talk, positive ideas, and going from there. Now let's take what happened in the United Kingdom last Thursday. We had mentioned this, that the election was taking place Thursday. And of course, the exit polls and all the polls prior to, it's going to be a tough race, and Cameron will have to put together a coalition government. He's not going to be able to do what he wants to do, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it came out just the opposite. The Labour Party, or the Conservative Party, which Cameron is head of, sweeping, just mass wins. Big majority. They control all of Parliament. Some groups, one group, I don't remember the name of it, they had 8 seats. They now have 0. They're gone. And other parties. The one thing about that is he does not have to put together a coalition government. They have control now. What did they run on? What was their message to the people of Britain? We're going to lower taxes. We're going to cut back entitlements. We're going to build the economy, and we're going to stop wasting money. conservative principles, and they won by a landslide. Guess what? Obama's group, like he was trying to in Israel, he was out there promoting the liberal party, the leftists over there. They got beat like crazy. This was a big defeat for leftism in America. When you look at what happened in the United Kingdom, and then when we listened to what was said Saturday, and I think they saw what happened over there, and they said, you know what, we can do the same thing in America. Let's go out there. We're going to promote a conservative platform. None of this middle of the road garbage. We're going to do conservatism, and we're going to win on it. And ladies and gentlemen, every time you run on a conservative ticket, you win. That has been proven. And that's where we are in America today. And there's a lot of positive things to look at along with the not so positive. But over the weekend, I became more emboldened about what we're doing, what we stand for, and I feel like that eventually we can win this battle. I've never really given up hope, but some days you just kind of, like Sunday, emotional letdown that Michelle was treated so bad in her life. I hate that. But it's break time, and Tucklow will take us out to a break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
And we're back with Richard Gearhead Medlock. Okay, go ahead, Richard.
Okay. Gearhead?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got some.
Works like a machine, so that's what I came up with for a middle name for you.
Okay. All righty. I got some emails from people that listen to the show, and they said, why haven't you talked about this NFL Deflategate thing and the Mayweather Pacquiao, whatever it is, fight, and the con it was? And here's my reply to that. In the big scheme of things, those things mean absolutely nothing. Period.
They have no effect on your actual personal life unless you're a gambler and you bet heavy on somebody and lost.
Yeah, and that happened, and people are suing. I'm sorry. You made a bet, you lost. your buddy, your fighter lost or your team lost. Folks, it's amazing this deflate gate thing. Everybody's covering it. I'm tired of it. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing. When you put it on against the other challenges that we have in this world, what happens in a stupid football game or a fight? I'm sorry. I'm not gonna. This is it. Boom. That's all I got to say about it. All right. Tucklow, I sent you this. I don't know if you saw it or not. Pete Townsend, the Who's Pete Townsend.
No, I haven't been. I went into my email once today and asked to get the link so we could do this show. I've been busy all day.
All right. Well, this was the other day I sent it to you. Pete Townsend, the Who is practicing to do their 50th anniversary concert or tour or whatever it is. Here's the title of the article. ISIS makes it very important that we keep our ammunition ready. Whoa, okay. All right, this is a rocker. This was published in Rolling Stone on May 7th. The Who's Pete Townsend said, it's very important that we keep our ammunition ready. He said this in response to a question about the Islamic State jihadist group, a question seeking his take on the state of a world in which ISIS and other terrorist groups play a growing threat. Rolling Stone asked Townsend, while we're on the subject, when you look at ISIS and Boko Haram, and even with what Putin has been up to some extent, do you worry about the state of the planet? Townsend, this is some classic comments here. Townsend responded by saying he hopes his answer does not earn him the label neocon again by Arianna Huffington, that dim-witted woman. And that's quote. That's quote.
Love it.
Okay. Then he said, I do think it's very important that we keep our ammunition ready. I do feel there is nothing to worry about as long as we are willing to protect ourselves. And yes, we are. Then he continued. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I do have a cough. I'm trying to keep from doing that. He continued, had America not interceded in World War II, Germany would have been taken over by the whole of Europe. I think the most important thing is that we remember that, but also remember that we don't need to act until this crap comes to our door. When that happens, whether it comes to our door in a Charlie Hebdo scenario or in a 9/11 scenario, we need to keep calm and to honor our own sense of values and justice and law and the way that we want to live. Those are strong words from him. So what he's saying is, folks, be ready to defend yourself. He says that's the kind of world we live in. Do you know him?
No, I don't. I do know Roger Daltrey, but I don't know Pete.
Oh, okay. And for some of you younger listeners, The Who is a 60s, 70s era great band. And I still listen to their music.
I do too. I just can't play it even on my radio show.
But boy, you can crank up some of their stuff and go at it. But anyway, going back to the South Carolina Freedom Summit, major event. Another big event happened yesterday in South Carolina. It was announced that Volvo is building their first American plant in Charleston, South Carolina. $500 million investment will create 4,000 jobs, not counting the construction jobs getting there. So a big coup for South Carolina. So now we have the Boeing plant in Charleston. We have Volvo plant in Charleston. We have BMW right here in the upstate. We have Michelin and a bunch of their factories in the upstate and around the state. Um, so we have some key major industries. In the upstate, there are a lot of automotive support industries that make parts, that make seats. I've got a friend, he's one of the big managers out at one of the plants that makes seats, the car seats for BMW and Cadillac and a couple of other um, couple of other automobiles. They just make the seats. And he gave me a tour of the plant and how they put it all together, and it's heated and all this stuff. It was really kind of fascinating. But South Carolina is very aggressive right now. I think Volvo had gotten down to Charleston and Savannah, Georgia. And so they came to South Carolina. They could see a lot of promise here, a lot of good workforce here, a lot of well-trained workforce. And I think they purchased 40 acres of land. It was either 40 or 80 acres of land. So, plus they're right there by the port of Charleston, and easy access to get parts and things. So a big coup for South Carolina, a big coup for the United States. This will ripple throughout the United States in creating jobs. And that's what we need. That now Volvo's got to go through all the regulatory garbage to get everything approved before they can even start building. And of course, the unions will come pouring in here wanting to try to get them unionized. And I can tell you right now, that's not going to happen in South Carolina. Obama is holding an Arab summit this week. He wanted to get the states together from the Middle East and convince them that his deal, nuclear deal with Iran, is a good deal. Well, I can tell you right now, most of those Arab states don't believe it. They don't believe Obama. So 4 of the 6 Arab states that were coming, and especially Saudi Arabia, they says, you know what, we'll send somebody, but our king's not coming. They didn't even send a prince. They just sent a government official. Now, this is a total big snub to Obama. It really is. Now, the White House is trying to downplay it. No, we didn't give them enough advance warning, enough advance invitation, they could have something else going on, et cetera, et cetera. But the Arab states, 4 of them just said, pooey on you, we're not coming. There's nothing you can do to convince us that deal with Iran is a good deal. And they're sitting there going, you cut that deal, then we want you to protect us. We want arms and a missile defense system, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of interesting, the dynamics that are going on there now. I mentioned last week that Obama, what he wanted to do with the Arab Spring totally blew up in his face, and it's still blowing up in his face. And he just won't admit it. He keeps trying to push a square peg into a round hole, and it's not going, folks. It's just not going. And John Kerry was over meeting face to face with Putin today. There's been no news about what happened there. Probably nothing. Putin probably told Kerry, we don't need you. You know, you're nothing but a fly on the wall. Get out of the way. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that he was told something like that. You know, they do it in diplomatic language, but Uh,
It's the same thing.
yeah. So we just don't use diplomatic language on this program. Um, 45, 45.4% of mothers in their 20s have never been married. This is in the United States. 45.4% of mothers in their 20s have never been married. I saw that figure yesterday and I'm going, I'd have never guessed it that high. Almost 50%. It's unbelievable. The other number that came out yesterday, and these numbers are from the Census Bureau, that 71% um, of black children do not have a father in the home. 71%. Now, bless good mothers that try. And there are good mothers out there that are trying. Now, are we saying 71% are bad? No, we're not saying that. But through the years, it has shown that a two-parent family, a man and a woman, the children come out better socially and educationally than a one-parent family. But these are astounding numbers, folks. Just astounding numbers. And also, did you know the UN yesterday came out with a food price report? Now, this blew me away, that food prices in the world today are lower than they were in 1961. Really. Now, they went through this big formula of building in inflation and da 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 da. But when you go out there and pay $5 for a pound of hamburger, and you go out there and pay $10 a pound for a sirloin steak, don't tell me that prices are lower. You can factor in all the inflation you want. It is. Remember we talked last week about this narrative that is out there. This is the narrative we want to put out there. It might be a lie, but we're going to keep pushing this narrative out there until everybody or most people swallow it. So to come out here, look, we're better off than we were in 1961. Oh, really? I can promise you, in 1961, we were a whole lot better off than we are today. So I just sit here looking at these reports, and you just got to scratch your head. And again, don't just read the headlines. You got to get into the article and break it down and see where are they coming from, what's the point they really want to make, and sometimes it's the last paragraph before you get to the truth. Because 95% of the people never get to the last paragraph. They just kind of scan the first few paragraphs and they're done. And they think they've got it. So that's where we are. Let's see what other tidbit we can throw out there right before we go to break in, like almost in a minute or so, right?
Yeah, a minute.
Okay, let me throw this out here. Job vacancy. You guys think I'm crazy? I keep talking about the central bank's plan to their macro-prudential policy, and where central banks will tell a corporation how much they can make, how much they can produce, how much they'll pay their workers, et cetera, et cetera. Well, job vacancy, supervision analysis, functional area, macro-prudential supervision 4. This was put out by the European Central Bank and it's got this huge, huge list of what they're looking for, how to apply, and what they're going to be doing. And it's everything that we've been talking about. So, all right. So if you're interested in that job, I'll send you the information. All right. We're up on break time. Tucklow, thank you for doing this for us, and we'll be right back.
And we're back with Richard Gearhead Medlock. Take it away, Richard.
Yeah, here we are with World Reality. Tucklow, I could barely hear that music that time.
Like I said before the program, I'm having problems, buddy.
Yep. Okay. No problem. We'll continue because a lot of people don't think I'm anywhere near music. So this afternoon, probably about a half hour or so before the program, the Senate voted down the trade bill that would have given Barack Obama carte blanche to go do what he wanted to do with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Well, that's a good thing. Now, the Democrats blocked it. Now what's going to happen, it's actually in McConnell's lap. Mitch McConnell, you know, the wimp that has surrendered to Obama. There might be some negotiating going back and forth. It might turn out to be a worse bill than it is now in favor of Obama. The Democrats are still running Senate. And between McConnell and Boehner, they're trying everything they can to give away the White House in 2016. I don't know what's gotten into their heads, but anyway, that bill is down for right now. It could be down. Now, what's interesting is the big uh, uh, senators against that bill were Democrats. Harry Reid was against it. Elizabeth Warren led the way, and she went after Obama on this thing. She says, we're not giving you carte blanche. Other senators, Democratic senators, came out last week and said this is a bad bill because that it gives that international um, organization that will be created from the TPP the ability to override United States laws and regulations. And that's not going to happen, folks. The UN doesn't have anything to say about what we do here, and nobody else should have a say. Now, if we go out and sign a treaty and it's a good treaty to benefit everybody, that's fine. But TPP is to play into the hands of that one world order and put more emphasis on controlling Americans. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. Um, and a lot of people are waking up to that fact with this deal that's trying to be put together. And there's other countries that are part of the deal. They don't like it. So it might not even become a deal. But they did not give Obama absolute carte blanche to go out there and just sign off on that deal, which is a good thing. I have to applaud the Democrats. And it's interesting. Here you have a totally leftist, Marxist Democrat in Elizabeth Warren that has gone middle of the road. She's pulling a Bill Clinton here, folks. Now, it's interesting to see what her end game is. I hadn't figured that out yet. Is it going to be that she's going to let Hillary get pounded and pounded and pounded, and then at the right moment step in as a candidate for president on the Democratic side, having put herself in the middle instead of way over on the left?
Well, what she's going to do, Richard, is put her multicolored headdress on and swoop down and be a Cherokee woman chieftain and slaughter Hillary and become the choice for Democrat liberals everywhere.
Well, and I agree with them. I keep forgetting that so-called Indian aspect of her. But this woman's playing a smart game right now. And a lot of people are saying, well, Jeb Bush is doing the same thing. He's just sitting back, letting the others put their cards on the table. But I promise you, after Saturday, there's some darn good hands that the other GOP candidates are holding. And Jeb Bush keeps playing his old hands, which is not good. Right now, Jeb Bush doesn't have a good hand. Now, I do have to admit, he came out last night in an interview on MSNBC. He had a great line. They said, name some countries that we've enhanced relationships with under Obama. And he hesitated, and he says, Iran and Cuba. So
that's pretty close to accurate, you know.
Pretty much. But he keeps pushing on immigration and other things. You know, I put Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton in the same pot.
I do too.
There's not a lot of difference between the two of them. And this Peter Schweitzer that wrote Clinton Cash is doing the same thing with Jeb Bush. He's following the money. And the money thing is getting worse. Now they've come out. When Hillary Clinton was in the State Department, every speaking engagement for Bill was approved in like 2 or 3 days. Boom. Okay, done. He was going to Cuba and like Libya and all over the world. And apparently he made about $50 million.
Richard, are you there? Uh-oh. Richard. Richard. We have lost Richard. Let me killed